Hi everyone, it's Kristen. Oh, sorry, it's hot. Like, it's Texas, it's already hot. I can't turn on the air conditioning because then the vent's like right above me and you won't be able to hear me. So, anyway, so bear with me. Like I said, I feel like my hair is already grown by a lot. Anyway, so you guys know all about the Magneto Rogue Gambit love triangle, especially because of X-Men 97. But did you know that there was another love triangle involving Gambit and Rogue? This one happened in 2005, and it was pretty like it was pretty crazy. The first time I read it, I was like, "Whoa, that's just whoa." Okay, so I won't like go into any more details so that you can. And like I said, with other stories, I'm just gonna skip over like the side parts and stuff because I mean, we're only gonna focus on the one story. So in an earlier panel, we see Havoc and Emma talking about the new girl, Fox, spelled Foxx, and she's joined, and Emma wants to put her in Gambit's class, and Havoc says, well, okay, why would you do that? Why would you put temptation in his way? Because apparently this Fox girl is really hot. Um, but by this panel, like this drawing, you can't really tell that she's really hot because she looks kind of weird. But in a different image, you'll be able to tell. So Rogue and Gambit have been having problems like ever since well, just for a while now, and it was intensified by this like entity that involved and that invaded the mansion and made everyone go crazy. And Gambit said some messed up things. He said, you know, it's a good thing we can't touch because that's the only thing that keeps us together. The only thing that keeps the spark alive. Basically, if we could touch, you'd just be another like one night stand, which that was really messed up for him to say. But everyone was crazy and they weren't in their right minds. So, yeah, but still, a messed up thing to say. So, what they're trying to do is you can see them here. You know, they're talking about it's been a while since we've touched, you know, so let's try it again. Maybe it won't have like such dire consequences this time. And Rogue, as they're kissing, remembers the first moment she met him, the whole basketball scene, and they did a nod to this in the intro of X-Men 97. Um, and she says, I remember the first time I saw him, there were other people there, but I only had eyes for him. And you can see the life getting kind of sucked out of Gambit. And she said, he took me on a ride on his motorcycle and my feet haven't touched the ground since. So, I mean, oh, that's really sweet. And then you see Gambit is a husk. Like she's killed him. But what you don't know is that actually it's really not like they're on kind of like the astral plane. Emma's been working with them to try to, you know, work on through their relationship through there. It's like, you know, kind of couples therapy. And Fox it like approaches Rogue. I mean, she Fox has the hots for Gambit. She even the first time she met him says, "Hey, do you do one-on-one private sessions?" And you know, here she is. She looks, you know, like better there than the first panel we saw her in. And she like gushes over Rogue, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you know, I just wanted to tell you how much I admire you and how much I love so much about you." And you know, Rogue's like, "Yeah, that's very sweet, but you know, leave me alone." Because she's wrestling with the whole what happened to Gambit thing. So Emma put him in a coma because what happens, you know, to the brain, what happens inside the mind is still traumatic. So she put him in a coma so he would heal more. like heal quicker. And they're saying basically they're saying, I don't think this, therapy is working. I mean, because, we still couldn't even touch and kiss like inside our minds. So, something's not working, something's wrong. And, Emma's like, well, we can try again. I'll give you more telepathic therapy and we'll try again. And Gambit's like, maybe later, I have a class. So you see him, you know, working out with Foxx. And then you see Wolverine teasing Rogue because he's with Foxx. And Rogue says, like, why should I worry about it? Gambit would never be unfaithful to me. And then the next panel, I was like, what? So Gambit's in the shower, and here we go. Basically, Foxx propositions Gambit and says, it'll only be physical, I mean, basically, she just, she knows that he and Rogue can't touch, and she's just like, it would just be physical, no questions asked. And he's like, I can't. And she's like, don't tell me you don't want me. And she's like, just think about it, Gambit. And you can see he turns the water from hot to cold. So he was definitely thinking about it. So, I mean, for her to be that brazen to approach him in the shower and basically saying, I know you want me. Like, I want you to, no questions asked. So he goes to her and says, Foxx, no questions asked. This doesn't mean that I love you or that, like, I want to start anything with you. And she's like, it's guilt-free, risk-free, physical. And he wakes up. It was a dream or a nightmare, depending. And Rogue is like, what was it? Tell me all about it and I can, analyze your dream, kind of like playing with him, like coy. And he's like, I'm going to go take a shower. And so they're with Emma Frost again, having another session. So they're on, like astral plane kind of thing. And they're, basically in their mind, this is what they're seeing, doing. And then all of a sudden, Gambit gets attacked by Foxx. And she says, because Gambit says, but it won't mean I love you. I won't promise anything. Like, because they're talking about getting physical. And Rogue's like, what? And what are you talking about? And then he sees Foxx. And basically, and that ends the session because Gambit's screaming. And Rogue's like, I don't know what's going on. Like, what's going on? And, basically she's like, I don't understand. The problem is I was willing, I was ready. So, basically blaming Gambit for not being ready. And then she says something that she shouldn't have said. She's like, I bet you wouldn't have a problem with the Foxy new student. And he said, well, with Foxx, I wouldn't have this problem. Like, I wouldn't have to do these sessions. You wouldn't have to go through, telepathy in order to be with her. So that was mean. And Emma's like, way to go, Remy, make her even more insecure than she already is. And we see the Cuckoos talking to Emma and saying, there's something off, there's something wrong. And Rogue approaches Emma and she wants to know Like, what's going on? Like, why did Remy scream? Why did he call out? And Emma says that she can see whatever they can see on the plane because she's, the one directing the therapy session. So Gambit, in order to get away from the mansion, takes his team for a field trip, including Foxx. And so Rogue sees this little moment right here, and she's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Which it's perfectly innocent. I mean, Foxx is just like holding onto his arm. I mean, she's trying to make a move, but it's innocent on Gambit's part. But Rogue sees that and thinks something's going on. And Gambit goes to Emma and says, why did you tell her what I saw? You had no right to do that. And she's like, I didn't tell her. Like, even though I can see what's going on, like, I have more class than to actually look and see what's going on. So I didn't see and I didn't tell her. And Gambit comes back to the room and Rogue has moved her stuff out. Because when he woke up from his nightmare, they were in the same room because Emma suggested it would be a good therapy technique for them to wake up in the same room. Of separate beds, of course, because, Rogue's powers, but they're still in the same room. So Rogue has moved out. And so Gambit's like, why did you move out? I loved waking up to you, next to you, to seeing you like wake up in the morning. And she's like, this obviously isn't working. Like, I don't know what's going on, but it's not working. And she suggests that he should just be with Foxx. And he's like, what are you talking about? I don't want her. I want you. And he's like, but she says, but with her, you'll be able to like kiss and touch and love. And I know that you guys like each other. You're both attracted to each other. I can see that. And he's like, I don't want her, and I'll prove it. So basically, he goes to Foxx and says, you're off my team. You're out of my, well, I'll trade you. You're going to be in Bobby's class now. It's for the best. And she's like, don't tell me you don't want me. And he's like, I don't. And she's like, liar. And then all of a sudden, she starts to look different. And he's like, what's going on? And it was Mystique. When, like, first time I turned the page, I was like, what the heck? And she says, Foxx is a woman I created to seduce you. And he is also like, what the heck? Rogue's your daughter. Like, why would you do this to her? Like, why would you try to sleep with your own stepdaughter's boyfriend? Like, she's like, I mean, and she claims she's only trying to help because they're so like frustrated with each other and they're snipping at each other and they haven't gotten along as well as they had in the past. But if one of them had a physical release, meaning Gambit, because Rogue can't touch anyone, then maybe they wouldn't be so like fighting all the time. And then she goes, come on, Remy, like I know what you want. I've got what you want. Take a look. And she transforms into Rogue and says, I know this is what you want. It wouldn't be cheating because it's Rogue. And he's like, please, Mystique, don't do this to me. And she's like, it won't be cheating. Oh, man. It's a lot of willpower to resist that. But Gambit does, supposedly, because we see next panel in the next issue, we see Mystique in Rogue's body and then just her going to her body talking to someone on the phone. And she says she needs a hypno booster over the phone like she did before, like she got before. So basically, that's how she was masking herself from the telepaths. And the person on the phone says, you're just going to have to, like, that's not possible over the phone. You're just going to have to deal with it and hope that the telepaths don't find you. And he asked about Wolverine, and Mystique said he hasn't been around much, thank goodness, because otherwise I'd be in trouble. And so Gambit tells Rogue that he went to see Foxx and he told her that, she was out of his class. And, that, she took it okay. And but she talked about also quitting the Institute altogether. So Rogue goes, being nice, and talks to her and says, hey, I know that you're young and it's confusing and, I don't want you to quit. I mean, I don't want you to feel bad about this. The fact that Gambit, like, rebuffed you. And Foxx says, the only thing I feel bad about, darling, is making you so miserable, but I had to do it. And Rogue's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, we've got company. And then Emma says, okay, whoever you are, obviously you're a shapeshifter, so, like, who are you? And Bobby says, I just hope that you're not a guy because I couldn't afford that therapy. This was before, he came out as gay, so I thought that was funny. Like, I think, well, obviously this was before, but, just that would be kind of funny. Either way, it's funny that Bobby said that. If Mystique had been a guy, then, now that he came out as gay, or the fact that he, at this point, hadn't come out as gay and said, I can afford the therapy if you're actually a guy. Anyway, so this was, I think, like I said, 2007, 2005. Okay, so he hadn't come out yet, obviously. And so Mystique, she, basically said, it's me. And Rogue's like, what the heck? And Gambit's like, Rogue, maybe you want to go inside for this. And Emma says, that's really patronizing, even for you. And basically, Emma's like, Gambit, you knew. You tried to act surprised, but you knew. And Rogue is mad at him because he knew and he didn't tell her. And Mystique is happy because she's like, you lied to her. You lost my daughter. You're not good enough for her. And she's starting to see that I'm right about you. And she's like, you can't even fight. And then Gambit clocks her to prove, yes, he can fight. And this Rogue had absorbed Sunfire's powers when he was dying, when he had his legs, like, cut off by Lady Deathstrike. So now she has his fire powers, like, permanently at this point. And so, basically, Mystique makes up this thing about how she's been working solo for so long and she wants to join the X-Men. And so they put her in a cell until they decide, kind of what to do with her. So, and Rogue said, why are you here? Like, oh, to spend time with you. Why are you really here? To seduce Gambit. And did you give yourself to my man? And that's where this issue ends. So we go on to the next issue. And Rogue tries to get the truth out of Mystique by, absorbing her memories. But there's some kind of, like, white noise, which is, the telepathic interference that she used in order to, blend in, not be realized, or not be found out by Emma and the Cuckoos. So Rogue finds Gambit with Bling, and she's like, what are you doing? It's like, we're just having a tutoring session. And she's like, get out. And she's like, see what you turned me into. Like, I don't want to be this person. But now I'm all paranoid and self-conscious. And, why didn't you tell me about my mom being here? Why didn't you tell me, like, that she tried to seduce you? And he said, because I didn't want you to worry, and I just hoped that you just go away. And then Mystique, just to finish out this, makes this impassioned plea on why she wants to be an X-Men and that, she gained her mutant powers. She's almost she's 80 years old, and she gained her powers when she was 12 and, turned blue. And back then there weren't very many mutants, so she had to, do some things she's not proud of to survive. And she feels like that could have messed her up, when she was doing that when she was younger. And then Nightcrawler comes to her and says, basically, why are you here, Mother? Like, after all you've done to me, can you just give me a little while to get used to the idea of you being around? Like, after all you've done for me, can you do after all you've done to me, can you do that for me? Like, after everything you put me through. So it's decided that Emma actually is going to be granted probationary, you know, status, so she can be a member of the X-Men. But when they go to find her or go to tell her the news, like, she's gone. She left. She escaped. So then we see Mystique with the voice she was talking to on the phone, which is actually, we find out later, Pulse, who can negate powers, and she tries to get Pulse to get with Rogue because he can negate powers. It doesn't go very far, though. Like, at first she's, kind of intrigued by the idea that, again, she can touch someone without sucking them dry. But then, Gambit comes back as Death, and even Gambit, she thought was dead, comes back, and then she's like, I can't do this. So anyway, she's talking to him, and he's like, so did you get with your daughter's boyfriend or not? And she's like, a lady never tells. So we really don't know. And I'm thinking no. And for all those that think, oh, Mystique cares about her daughter, just wants the best for her, wants to spend time with her. We come to, Uncanny, or X-Men 200, and we were on 174, and we see Mystique, who's a part of the Marauders, and so is Gambit, because remember, he made a deal with Sinister. This is where he gained back his, true form. Made a deal with Sinister to be part of the Marauders. And she yells, no one can, no one's allowed to shoot my daughter. And then she goes, like, basically, but me. So all the people are like, oh, she's changed. She really, at that point, she really wanted to be with her daughter. No, like, she just shot her. I mean, just, not very many issues later. So you can never really trust Mystique's motives. I mean, honestly, you can't. I mean, she's pretty much only in it for herself and what she gets out of it, because you just can't trust her. So I thought that little story, little series was pretty messed up. That she would try to seduce her own daughter's boyfriend, stepdaughter, but still boyfriend, so that her daughter would break up with him because she thought she knew best, and she wanted to get her daughter with this other guy who's a criminal, Pulse. He robbed people because he could pulse not only powers but also electronic systems and such. So he was a criminal. He was a thief. She thought this guy would be better for Rogue than Gambit, even though Rogue and Gambit have been together for so long and obviously love each other. She thought she knew best, and then she shot Rogue like 10, 15 issues later. So anyway, I just, since the whole X-Men 97 Rogue, Gambit, Magneto love triangle appeared, I thought this was a good time to pull out that bizarre love triangle. And that's what it's called, actually, the 4-part series, Bizarre Love Triangle. So anyway, what are your thoughts? Like, can Mystique ever be trusted, really? I mean, this isn't the first time, technically, she's been a part of the X-Men or wanted to be a part of the X-Men, but can she really ever, be trusted, do you think? So, anyway, just let me know in the comments below, and I hope you join me for my next video. Until then, bye.